welcome the opportunity to share our views regarding U.S. negotiating priorities and the proposed Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership with the European Union. I will summarize the concerns we outlined in our joint statement with the American Hellenic Institute and the Hellenic American Leadership Council, leading organizations of the Greek American community. Our concerns relate primarily to the Turkish government's stated interest in joining this agreement, although Turkey is not a European Union member, as well as public comments by Turkish leaders and others regarding a possible U.S.-Turkey free trade agreement. Although the President's notice to Congress of his intention to negotiate this agreement made it clear that it would be between the United States and the European Union, and inclusion of Turkey in this process would require additional notice to Congress, we wanted to share our concerns nevertheless. In the course of any talks or negotiations related to such agreements, we call on the President to be guided by the Trade Act of 1974, which affirms our nation's commitment to, quote, establish fairness and equity in international trading relations, end quote, a principle that the government of Turkey regularly violates. More specifically, we call upon the Obama administration to ensure that the TTIP related agreements and any bilateral agreements that may directly or indirectly involve the Republic of Turkey require, as a statutory precondition, that the Turkish government, 1, unconditionally lift its illegal economic blockade of Armenia, 2, fully withdraw its unlawful and brutal military occupation of Cyprus, an EU member, and 3, immediately end all obstacles to trade, investment, and other forms of commerce it currently imposes on Cyprus and Armenia. The blockade of Armenia, a landlocked nation, which has been enforced for more than 2 decades and prevents an important east-west trade route, is among the longest standing in modern history. This blockade is all the more objectionable since Turkey's act of economic aggression is targeted against the very Armenian people that Turkey's predecessor state, the Ottoman Empire, attempted to exterminate during the Armenian genocide. Within days of signing an agreement in October 2009 to end its blockade of Armenia, regardless of any progression in the Karabakh peace process, Turkey reneged on that agreement and insisted that it would not end its blockade until Karabakh was resolved in Azerbaijan's favor. The World Bank, the U.S. State Department, and European Parliament reports have all outlined the devastating impact of Turkey's blockade against Armenia. The traditional railroad linking Armenia, Turkey, and Azerbaijan could be operational within days. But instead of allowing this rail system to run, Turkey is financing the construction of an entirely new railroad system that would circumvent Armenia and cost hundreds of millions of dollars. In yet another example of Turkey's effort to hamper rather than promote free trade, Turkey invoked the rarely used Article 13 of the Marrakesh Agreement establishing the WTO when Armenia joined the WTO in 2002, meaning that it would not abide by any WTO obligations as they apply to Armenia. Article 13 has been invoked only 8 times, and only 3 are still remaining, one of them being Turkey's invocation against Armenia. We are particularly concerned about Turkey's unwillingness to comply with previous trade agreements. Since its 2005 customs union agreement with the European Union, Turkey has refused to implement the requirements of beginning to normalize relations with Cyprus, an EU member, and has refused to open its ports and airports to Cyprus. Turkey must demonstrate that it no longer flagrantly violates trade obligations before being granted any preferential treatment in this negotiating process. The implementation of any provision of such agreements related to Turkey should be conditional upon official annual certification by the President and subsequent confirmation by the Congress that Turkey has, over the past 12 months, fully complied with these conditions. These requirements, if enforced, will support and strengthen U.S. leadership in promoting a multilateral, rule-of-law-based trading system, and more broadly, in encouraging compliance by Turkey and other countries with international agreements to promote trade. We welcome the U.S. Trade Representative's commitment to expansion of U.S. trade and investment based on fairness and equity in international trading relations, that require respect of the rule of law. We hold, however, that in the case of Turkey, we would not advance our national interest or promote our core values by rewarding a nation that so egregiously and flagrantly undermines the integrity of the global trading system by occupying a European Union member state, refusing to end its 2-decade blockade of landlocked Armenia. Moreover, any inclusion of Turkey in an already complex process involving multiple EU member states would create serious complications and disruptions to that process. We welcome the opportunity to meet with the Trade Policy Staff Committee to discuss these priorities in more detail. Thank you very much for this opportunity.